Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to it as Hollywoodbets once again brings you Game On. I am Caesar Mapena to be joined by legends, goal-scoring legends, in the way of Shane McGregor as well as Chevis Kosana as we break down football here in Mzansi, out in England as well as in Germany as all those three respective leagues go into the final stretch of the 24-25 campaign. We'll also be having a special interview, or special guest maybe I should say, right at the end of the show. That's a once member of the famous CBD down at Mamelodi Sundowns some years ago. That, of course, is Keegan Dolly. So stay with us as we get the show on the road. So as promised, it's time now to have a look at what's going on in England. And of course, we are in the presence, I should say, of a great Shane McGregor. Shane, great to be back in your company. And of course, the international break is a thing of the past now. It was interesting when we went to break in that Arsenal had cut down the gap, not by much, but they had cut down the gap. And well, some teams down at the bottom also in their struggles. Let's look at the fixtures that will be coming up and discuss the teams. Brighton at home against Aston Villa, who still have a chance of getting into the top four.
Yeah, this is a difficult game, you know, and good to be here, by the way. It's a difficult game. Brighton blown hot and cold, as has Villa been, you know, the break. And you never know what happens when you have a little break like this. Players go to international duty, players come back, you've got injuries. It was a difficult one to call, but I'm gonna look at Brighton here. I do think, you know, at home, they're a team that are very hard to beat at home.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at them to get in the victory in this one against Villa. I know Villa are fighting to try and keep up that fight. Yeah. But I just think Brighton are going to be too good for them at home.
Manchester City are just 1 point away from the top four, having to battle their way in there if they are to get there at the end of it all. Leicester City are very much in the relegation struggle. It is a big game this weekend.
Huge game. You know, I just feel that Man City will get the victory. I mean, you look at Leicester. I mean, I think they're on the way out as well. So, yeah, I know stranger things have happened with Man City of late, but I just feel that Man City going to be too strong. I do see that their big man is back in light training, Rodri. So hopefully he can even future the season, but who knows? But I just feel that I'll have too much for them.
Would you say the break came at the right time for City, considering they'd lost a match and drawn a match going into the international break? Hadn't won in two.
Yes and no, because 90% of his, if not 100% of his players would have gone away for international duty, so it wouldn't have helped much. You know, you can't really work on anything. But the break might have suited them. Leicester, obviously they're not going to lose too many players, would have time to work, but I still feel that City will be too good.
Well, City are 1 point out of the top four. Newcastle United are 2 points out of the top four. They're at home once again to Brentford this time.
Yeah, at home, you can't look past them. You know, Newcastle, you're playing against 12 men there with the fans, you know, and everything there. So I can't see them getting beaten,
Interesting, when you look at Brentford, would you say they've done well this season? They have a spot on the log, no relegation worries. Also, when you look at their last five, they've won 3, lost 1 and drawn 1.
Going very well, you know. Obviously, not a worry there, no relegation battles. So, nothing to play for really, but just get the season done.
Southampton on a losing run in recent times. They have to go back some stretch in their memories to remember that winning feeling. But they're up against a side I've said on numerous occasions is the most improved this season, considering how they started the season. That, of course, is 13th place Crystal Palace.
Southampton have been on a losing streak most of the season. So, you know, you look at it, they're gone. I mean, they're dead and buried. They're going to be in Championship next year. As you say, Palace being one of those teams that have been going fairly well of late, especially. You know, they were in their relegation battle at one stage. Got a few victories. Yeah, they'll get the job done against Southampton. Southampton's just got pride to play for now.
Now, there's the big one later on this, or should I say, on a Wednesday evening to look forward to. Liverpool at home to Everton. The last time they got together, there were goals, there was drama, there was red cards, there was everything you'd want in a match, including the tension of the rivalry between the two sides. How are you looking at this game?
Typical derby game, and it's going to be the same, you know. Always a typical derby game with Liverpool against Everton. At Anfield is another story. You know, if you look at the history at Anfield, Liverpool have definitely got the upper hand. It's going to be a tight game, once again, it always is. See how Liverpool have recovered after the break, but I think it's going to be a Liverpool victory.
At this point, for Liverpool, it's a season they could throw away if they are to lose it, rather than someone could take it away from them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is going to be, if they do lose the league, if they don't win it, them chucking it themselves, It's unfortunately, that international break came at the right time for Liverpool. They were going through a bad patch. They'd gone through a number of defeats, had been out lost the cup final, out Europe, so it came at a good time for them. So let's just hope they've recharged. But once again, 90% of the players have been away on international duty.
Let's talk Everton. They've had their problems over the last couple of years, financially and otherwise, but things seem to be stable. 15th spot, they're on 34 points, some way off the relegation chat. Have they done well to turn the ship around here?
Moyes, since he's come back, it's been a different team. They were struggling. They really were struggling, couldn't get results. He came in, changed things around. It just shows you that a coach knows the history of the team, knows everything around the team, what a difference he can make, and he has made that difference. And I'm glad he did, because obviously they've got a new stadium that they're moving into next year, So can you imagine if they got relegated?
With the new stadium,
it would have been terrible.
Would make sense. Chelsea-Tottenham, quick one.
Chelsea-Tottenham, I'm going to go draw.
Draw. So for Chelsea, just clinging on to a top four spot, they'll be hoping for the win at home against Tottenham. London derby, once again, it could go either way with the way Chelsea have gone about the season. That's our look at what's happening in England. We'll be back on the other side of this with Jeris Kosana to talk about what's happening right here in Mzansi.
Wanna bet?
You are on.
Breaking news. Gogo takes a Brian's challenge to a penalty shootout.
Aziz again.
Let's go.
Brian looks confident here. What? He's completely missed it. Here comes Gogo. And what a kick! She's done it! She's done the impossible! Hollywoodbets, Azishege, let's play.
Welcome back, and there's so much to talk about with Jeris Kosana in as far as the beautifully South African game, and we'll start off with something of importance. Bafana putting smiles on our faces over the last couple of years or so, and while we went into the two matches now, hoping for 2 wins and 6 points in each of those games, job done against both Lesotho and Benin, but now a bit of a problem, Sharana.
Right, Sizo.
No, well, been grand until this issue came up. We should be 5 points clear. And a big mistake, Mukwena wasn't supposed to play against Lesotho, and it's a big mess up from the administrative side. How do you make such mistakes?
Yeah, well, thanks, Caesar. Firstly, ngifuna ukuthasha indaba the way i-atmosphere bengakhona eLimpopo. Wow. Akufuna ukupha nje credit
full house
to the supporters of like Limpopo. That was good for a national team, and that's how they got the results. But not a simple one. Remember, with most of the players, Belisut, these are the players about the championship here at home, and they know these guys. So the whole first half, it was a difficult one for Bafana. But second half, obviously the fatigue and experience of our own players in the PSL against a lot of players in the Motsepe Championship, it took a toll, and it gave us the advantage of scoring those goals where we won. Because after that game, nobody thought anything can happen. You know, we're all happy, especially seeing the person Tebogo Mokoena in the team doing so well. And the thinking was, how are they going to fare Abidjan against the Benin, you know? And when they talk about that stadium, to me it was exciting to say, hey, that's a reminder where I scored that.
Your favorite stadium. Your favorite stadium outside of South Africa.
But I don't love it because people died there after that game. But yeah, so I think we did well against Benin. And, Nkosiam, what happened to the team manager, Lopete Ibafana at Safa? I mean, how can you miss such an important thing of saying, you've got a player that was not supposed to play against Lesotho? And the player played, and now we don't know. We don't know why you've got people like those that don't know how to handle football. So SAFA needs to look at itself inside the house and make sure that they fix it in because it's not a good thing.
Now, let's switch. It's cooling a league, and big news, of course, in recent times, Kevin Hunt, one of the legends from a coaching point of view, SuperSport United, they're in a bit of trouble. in as far as in league this season. I mean, next season they might struggle even more, but it turns out this season they're fighting relegation. Kevin, did you see this coming?
No. Honestly, it's something I remember the history of Kevin. I mean, 4 times league champion, Super Sport, and Wits University. These are the teams where, if you look at Sundowns, Swallows, then when they were still in the league, doing well, Pirates, these are the teams where Kevin was supposed to get something. But he got it with teams that were just like not in everybody's lips. And it did well. And now we lose a job at like a Super Sport. But for me now, somehow I'm worried with the fact that a lot of young players would be produced at Super Sport. But those players would be sold away. Is he part of that, agreeing to that format? Because now it shows he has lost his job. Because now some of the quality players that you need to hold on at Super Sport that you've produced, they let them go, they sell them. So I don't know if maybe that's what Super Sport does, the coach doesn't ever say, or that's what the coach agrees. And now he has lost his job, and I'm sorry about it.
Yeah, sad to see. But let's talk about the fixtures that will be coming up. Starting with this afternoon, Chippa United looking to get into the top 8, but then the Amazulu, who are just inside the top 8, by the way.
There is a problem there at Amazulu, the pressure, but on this one, yes, Chippa, they are on song of late, but I would give this one to Amazulu.
Golden Arrows, now Bafunungina top 8, up against the Kaizer Chiefs that make up the top 8, 5 points separating these two sides.
Lapho ngihlala efensini. Yeah, ngihlala efensini ngoba ngeke kube lula for i-Chiefs. Ngeke kube lula for i-Chiefs. Yes, badlale eThekwini, it's away from home, but that's a home for Chiefs. So on that one, I'm saying efensini. It's a draw.
In my case of late, since they've got themselves out of the relegation zone, but they're just 2 points away from it. An important game, but a tough game as well against Stellenbosch. But in my case, it's a Kai.
I go with Tamakesi.
Uh-huh.
I'm a man. Case.
Yeah?
Limpopo.
Yeah.
Because that's where they are doing well. That's where they've got a lot of wins for them. So I think that will be a motivation on its own to play there. So for me, yeah, Sishwa Stadium for my case, yeah.
A team will be in place for most of the season. Polokwane City, they are running the risk of losing 3 in a row, Chadana. They haven't won in the last 5, at home against Richards Bay.
I think also it's going to be a tight one, but I can give it to Polokwane City to get a win out of that one.
And lastly, Supersport, Cape Town City, both sides struggling.
Ish.
Both have had coaching changes.
Hey, man, I feel for the players because now they need to impress whoever that is gonna take over the reins. So I think it's gonna also be a draw for me. It's not gonna be easy for both teams.
Not gonna be easy indeed, as many sides are battling here, not only for CAF places, but there are those that are trying to get into the top 8 to start off with the MTN 8 at the start of next season, and those, of course, that are trying to get away from the relegation zone. We take a short break, say thank you very much to Jace Kosana, and return by discussing German football, the Bundesliga, with Shane McGregor. Welcome back as we now look at what's happening out in German football with Shane McGregor, who returns. Keep in mind, Bayern Munich had, lost their way a bit over the last 2 games in as far as the Bundesliga, not winning in 2, and out of those 2, of course, drawing 1 and losing 1. Shane, let's talk about Munich. They kick off later this afternoon against St. Pauli, where they'll be hoping to get back to winning ways, of course.
Yeah, obviously, and the break came at the right time, as did for Liverpool,
Yeah.
So both of them had top of the table, and both of them came into defeats. Yeah, it's a good break. It's a good time for them to have their break. I think that they should get the job done against St. Pauli, especially at home, and Kane's been in goal-scoring form again, as we've seen. So, yeah, I think they'll get the job done then and keep, the lead ahead, away forward, should I say. So, yeah, I can't see anything but a victory for Bayern.
There's also some interesting football to catch in the race for the top 4.
Yeah.
But some lovely fixtures just for the neutrals here. Frankfurt, of course, they're up against Stuttgart. It should be a mouth-watering encounter there.
going to be a great game,
Yeah.
you know, and I hope it's not going to be a normal draw, but I can't see that. You know, we don't have too many of that in the German league. This is vital, you know, for those top spots in the league, this one, you know, and if you look at it, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, something like a 3-2 or 2-all. I'm leaning towards the home team, so I'm going to go a 2-1 or a 3-2 there.
Important that they, of course, put together some consecutive wins, considering Mainz is equal on points to them and just ahead of them on goal difference, but they're up against Borussia Dortmund to Mainz, and they're the away side in this fixture.
We know about them when they play away from home.
Yeah.
It's their away form. So that'll be a plus in their favour. You know, Dortmund has been one of those teams this year, been very disappointing, but they have got a couple of results along the way. For me, you know, Mainz away from home again, they love that. I don't know what it is about them. I think maybe it's because of the pressure of the home fans, whatever it is. So that could be it. But they have been tremendous on the road of late, especially over the last few months. I'm going to look towards them towards a victory over Borussia. And I know people will say to me, but Dortmund are a big team. Yeah, but they haven't been playing as a big team this season. So
they're running the risk of losing 3 on the trot if they do lose this match. So form is an important factor here.
Big important factor. And as I say, the away form has been brilliant. The only thing that worries me is that break. You know, that break came at the wrong time for them, for Mainz that is. So that's the only thing. But I would go for away victory, you know, and I think the odds are going to be good in that one.
Well, let's just talk in this case of Mainz themselves. They have, not lost in their last 5, winning 4 of those last 5, enjoying their last match going into the national break. So they themselves are trying to bounce back into winning ways, yeah?
Yeah, but you know, when you're in that kind of form, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, they've been doing what they've had to do, and as I say, their away form has been tremendous. So you can't be looking past them in this one.
So it should make for an interesting game. Another that is of interest is Borussia Mönchengladbach against Leipzig, who are trying to get into that top 4 race as well.
Yeah, Leipzig have also been disappointing this season. If you look at their form and the way they've been going, they're normally a top 2, top 3 team, and they've been struggling to get in there. Though they have picked up in the last few games, you know. Mönchengladbach are one of those teams that you catch them on their day, you're going to be in trouble. I just feel that Leipzig have got more to play for. Mönchengladbach, not that much to play for. So I'm going to go the Leipzig away victory.
So keep in mind, Leipzig are just 3 points away from a top 4 spot. So much to play for them in trying to get that motivation to get over the line and pick up the 3 points. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out this weekend. We say thank you to Shane McGregor and the special part of the show we promised you with that special interview with a member of the once called CBD out at Mamelodi Sundowns. That, of course, is Keegan Dolly, who will be joining us shortly. Well, it's the moment we promised you right here on GameON, the special guest that we do have for you, of course, someone who was part of a trio that was known as the CBD back in the day. My goodness, did they not blow our minds away? Of course, one of the stars of South African football, Keegan Dolly. Keegan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Quick, fast, Jay, how many languages do you speak?
I speak 5.
5?
5.
That's local?
Locally.
Yeah.
A little bit of French. I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's very complicated.
Sure.
Very,
All right. No, I just had to check because once I saw a thing with you just switching up the languages. I was like, wow, hey. Yeah, né?
Yeah, so with the other languages, it's just the greetings that I know.
Yeah.
I think I have a good ear for languages.
Yeah.
So once I hear something, I don't forget.
Sure.
So I think that helped me a lot, you know, in the football world.
Let's talk about the football world. Amongst many stars and legends in South African football, started their football at the School of Excellence. Yeah. You're one of those. Yeah. How important was the School of Excellence in setting you up?
I think it was very important, you know, because you live, you eat, you sleep football at the school. And that's all we want to do, you know. Yeah. I think also going to the school, you meet people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and it grows you as a player, as a person, you know. You need to get out of your comfort zone. And I think the school helped me with that as well. And, you know, just getting used to being on my own away from home at the boarding school. Yeah. It kind of, you know, paved the way for better things in life.
Yeah, sure. And then your career then saw you, of course, as part of Sundowns, then move on to Ajax Cape Town. I want to talk about your time in Cape Town and how important that was, that first professional experience in setting you up for the Keegan Dolly we know today.
Yeah, I think most of the teams I played for since academy days, it was always 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. I was at the school for 3 years. I left 2008. I joined the Sundowns Academy, spent 3 years there as well. And I saw the opportunity to join Ajax Cape Town, you know, just because of what they believed in. They really gave the youngsters opportunities to showcase their talent, you know, professionally. And once they came knocking, we decided that I have better chances of playing first team football in Cape Town than playing for Sundowns, you know, and I think that was one of the best decisions I made for my career, because I remember getting there, you know, the likes of Matthew Booth, you know, Terre Fontaine, Brent Carls, you know, experienced players, you know, and they really took me under their wing and they helped me. I remember we played our first game against Manchester United when they came down to Cape Town, and I started the game. And I think after that, everything just went in the right direction for me.
And the direction it took you to was being a part of the legendary CBD.
Yeah.
Now, when you first heard that, what were your thoughts? And how far did you think you guys could take it as a group there?
You know, funny enough, the partnership with Billy had started at Ajax.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I met him there and he was already shining, you know. And I played 2 seasons with him. So we already had that understanding of each other, how he makes his runs, how I need to pass him. So when we got to Sundowns, this is before Castro even joined. It was just a thing that happened at training, you know. We started clicking, even though Castro didn't understand English, but we understood the way he played and how he wanted us to pass him the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that helped us a lot. And obviously with our teammates that we had at the time, you know, Sompo Kekana, all these experienced players that understood if they give us the freedom to attack, we will create something for the team, and I think that helped us a lot.
I asked that because you've since gone abroad, come back, and here you are with Galaxy now. You guys are in the top 4 fight.
Yeah.
Many people didn't see you guys at the first half of the season as being a part of the top 4 fight, but the joys of that is that now you're an experienced player with so much experience, even in Europe, under your belt. And obviously, the club is looking to get into CAF Club competition or CAF Confederations Cup. How important is it for you to be able to lead the youngsters, knowing the journey that still lies ahead in the Confederations Cup and the travels on the continent?
Look, you know, with TS, we started the season off slow. We were, I think, bottom with 2 points when I joined the club. The new coach took over, and we set targets as a team, as the club. You know, we just need to get out of that spot. But we also said we need to take it each game as it comes and not look too far ahead. So we started working on ourselves, trying to play better football, understanding each other, understanding what the coach wants from us, and you know, just learning what qualities we have as a team. And once we started focusing on ourselves, taking each game as it comes, we started winning games. I think we went 11 or 12 games unbeaten. And you know, for us as players, we didn't even look at it like that. We just wanted to win each and every game. And at the end, we saw ourselves sitting 3rd before Stellenbosch played, and we went 4th. And now we're sitting so high up on the table, we can set our goals higher, you know, and that's what we want to achieve. We want to go to CAF, because I always tell them that these major tournaments, you know, this is where you get your opportunities to go abroad, because there's a lot of people watching the CAF Champions League, the Confed Cup. So I always, you know, try to motivate them to say that these are the type of tournaments that you have to play in order to you know, expose yourself and, you know, give yourself a good opportunity to go abroad.
Can I tell you what, for those of us that have watched you play and still enjoy watching you play, thank you so much for giving all you have to the South African game, and thank you so much for joining us on GameON. Yeah?
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, Bob.
Sure.
It's okay. Thank you so much to Keegan Dolly for that informative interview. And we'd also like to thank Jerry Skosana, not forgetting Shane McGregor as well, as you at home, for taking the time to join us for yet another episode of Game On. From myself, Susan Mapena, and the rest of the team behind the scenes. We'll see you next week. Click, click, bang.